Hello folks, the Y Guy here again, and I want to welcome you to my home on this beautiful summer morning, and I hope the wind doesn't rumble the microphone too much in this. Also, before I get started, I want to invite you to leave comments. Please be polite, especially the thumbs down ones. Oh, please leave a thumbs down or a thumbs up. There's obviously a good reason why you left a thumbs down, because you disagree, and your disagreement might be valid. So you got to explain why. Anyway, you can look me up on Facebook under my avatar. I got two different accounts, two different avatars. One's called The Y Guy, the other one is called Jonathan Jones. I misspelled it because it's not my real name. Anyway, this video is called The Y Guy Trusting God Issue. Some people say the word issue. Anyway, we've all been there. We've all done that. Most of us are still there, dealing with different times with trusting God or not trusting God, things like that. We're all in the same boat. Here comes the wind. I apologize. The question, though, that has to be addressed, it became critical in my personal life when it comes to trusting God. The question is, how can you, speaking to myself, how can you trust God and still believe in hell? How do you do that, Y Guy? Well, in reality, I would say as an excuse, and if this doesn't sound familiar to you, it should. Well, I trust God with me, but I don't know about that guy down the street. How can I trust God with him? You see, you're basing it all on something other than trusting God. And I'm going to explain it in this video, okay? And I don't know how many times I've heard throughout the years where somebody facetiously would say, well, I know where I'm going when I die, but I sure don't know about you. That is so self-righteous. It is so self-righteous. Anyway, did I say what the title of this video is called? The Y Guy Trusting God Issue? Yeah, I did. I said that. Okay. Some are not trusting God, okay? This is going to take a heavy duty, heart, gut level honesty, okay? When I say that some are not really trusting God, but they're trusting what the pastor or the priest says. All right, they're trusting you're trusting how you think. Now, I'm speaking to myself when I say you. All right, you're trusting the Bible. I know I stepped on some toes there, and why is that? Because you're trusting that the Word became pages, and not flesh and blood. That name that was only given to Christ and Him alone. He is the Word of God. You're trusting what you read. You're trusting your understanding, period. Not of just what you read, but your understanding. You're trusting the translation of a Bible. You're trusting specific words, specifically the word hell. Let's use that for an example. You're trusting that word is valid. All right. You're trusting religion. You're trusting in doctrines. You're trusting traditions. You're trusting your free will. You're trusting your judgment as if it was the actual judgment of God. You're trusting in what others believe. You're trusting that you're not deceived. Let me see. You're trusting your denomination, if you have one. Or you're trusting in your non-denomination, okay? Basically where I come from. You're putting trust in your trust. You trust your faith. You trust your belief. You trust your ability to believe. You trust your very acts of confessing. And then you trust the fact that you've repented of things. Well, folks, then you say you trust God? Reality check. You trust you. All right, now everything that I mentioned here, they're all, for the most part, they're all pretty much, they're good things, okay? Because most people say, well, yeah, I trust in God, and then you add that list that I just gave you. and justify it. Well, see what happens when you do something like that, when I did something like that, what happens is God just becomes part of the mix. Trusting God becomes just part of the mix rather than the focus of your trust. It's diluted. The trust is so diluted and polluted, okay, with doctrines of men. You get my point, right? More often than not, all these things, even though some may be good, they become distractions and they become stumbling blocks to really trusting God. And in conclusion, folks, hell is the biggest stumbling block to trusting God. But by turning away, this is what happened to me, but by turning away and repenting, changing my mind, that's what repenting means. By repenting of the hell doctrine, I can now fully trust God. And not just with myself, but now I can trust God for all of creation. Now that my focus is on God's trustworthiness, I can now see scriptures that I never seen before. It's so weird. And everyone who understands where I'm coming from, or in this, my camp now, so to speak, they all agree. It's weird. It's just plain weird how you never could see these scriptures before. Because I was blind, literally blind, because of that stupid, false, perverted, disgusting, folklore, pagan, damned hell doctrine. Tell us what you really think, why guy? Anyway, thank you for viewing.